What's up guys, this is SkyStep Gaming and I'm coming at you with another video, and this video is of a visual novel, and I can't wait to jump into this because it's been a long time since I've jumped into visual novels. It's going to be refreshing because this is Autumn's Journey, and I was going to play this a long time ago, but things happened where I couldn't figure out how to record with certain recorders and stuff, so it was like really hard for me to figure it out. But anyways, let's not dilly-dally around. Let's jump on in here and get things done. Chapter 1. The End of Summer. Sunlight filtered through the airy birch forest as the lush ferns grazed my boots. Oh, is she walking? I momentarily shielded my eyes before I turned north, treading carefully. The muggy atmosphere that had hung over the past few months was now being replaced by the subtle crispness of fall. Though the trees were still vibrant green, apple picking season was fast approaching for the town of Barry. I'm sorry if you guys can hear me breathe and stuff. I'll try to move my mic just a little bit the way you guys don't. I carefully stretched my arm toward the sky, inhaling deeply. And thus, my weekly scouting for monster bandits or anything out of the ordinary that may harm local citizens is over. Oh, cool. There's actually voices. We'll make that a little quieter because that seemed a little loud to me. I don't know about you guys, but there we go. That should be perfect for you guys. And that concludes my mission. I laughed, wondering why I announced my agenda to no one. I guess I always just wanted to say that out loud. Walking around alone does prompt you into monologuing just so you can hear a voice. And it got little animations in the side. That's so awesome. I just wish I wasn't restricted to freelance work in Barry. Though, how long is my training going to last? I'm more than ready for knighthood. I can do this. Adjust my sword belt, making sure the hilt could be pulled out at any moment's notice. Humming, I decided to meander back to the village by following the thin river down the gentle slope. I love the terrain here. There was always a inclination, and higher up, I could get a breathtaking of berry and its endless orchards. So I'm guessing Barry is more like a orchard town, like all kinds of like fruit trees or something like that. I'm guessing because that's usually what orchards are. I don't know, especially in autumn when leaves were so vibrantly red that the entire forest seemed to ignite, and the smell of the forest and the fallen foliage lingered welcomely. I spotted someone entirely out of the ordinary near the riverbank, leaning against a tree. Birch trees were not exactly comfortable resting spots, and I did not recognize the stranger's attire. Hello? Are you a traveler? His face came into view, and I recognized he was sleeping. But that's not what caught me off guard. He had beautiful protrusions, I'm guessing that's what it is, resembling shell swords jutting out of his long hair, right where someone's ears would or should be. Or was it a decoration covering his ears? I suddenly wanted to touch them, but I resisted. If he woke up in an untimely manner, it would be awkward to explain. At first, I was about to leave, but then I noticed something else rather odd. I saw no bags, no possessions, or anything else of him on him. This place was too far away from civilization for a simple afternoon stroll. Was he mugged? And if he had been in Barry previously, I would have known. It was a small. It was that small of a town. Curiosity won me over. Um, hello? I grabbed his shoulder and gave him a gentle shake, finding his lack of response unnerving. I hovered a hand in front of his nose. Sure enough, he was breathing, and I did not see any injuries that suggested he was knocked unconscious. After I After more feeble attempts to wake him, I just decided to improvise a camp. I did not want to leave him unattended, and I knew I could drag his body, or I couldn't drag his body very far. Tossing down my bag, I went to work. Oh, peaceful open fire. I love fires, guys. Like setting out and being around a fire, warm fire, and it's crackling. Oh, it's awesome. Fire crackled merrily as I opened my cloth, which contained a lump of rye bread and hard cheese. These were emergency rations, lest I was unable to return to Barry. Mother and father were probably worried. Just as I was about to bite into the cheese, I saw movement and glanced up, eyeing the stranger. Setting my food down, I curiously shifted over. I had previously placed his body in a supine position and used my bag as a substitute pillow, though it was probably more lumpy than anything else. It was better than nothing. Are you awake? You've been out all afternoon. I was getting worried.
Whoa.
That kind of scared me. Not gonna lie. That made me jump. Um, in a split second, he shot up and then clumsily fell back. I caught his arm to steady him. Whoa, take it easy. You just got up. He flinched from my contact, and I hesitantly let go, retreating slightly. I didn't get any sense of hostility, but he certainly seemed bewildered. Who are you? Then was an uneasy edge in his voice, not quite one of panic, but more of anger. It was then I noticed that his eyes were of a brilliant amethyst hues. Could. Sorry, guys, it's really late at night and I wanted to record something, so I decided this was it. Contracting with. I don't know, it goes with his hair. Earthly hair tones. Aurorly, I found you in the woods outside of Barry. The surprise did not leave his eyes. He stared at him. He stared at his hands, and then covered his face. Lastly, he ran his fingers through his brown hair. His horrified reaction was so unsettling that I dumbly sat there for several seconds before mustering the courage to address him again. Are you alright? Obviously not, but I wanted a better grasp of the situation. He attempted to sit up again, but this time I was prepared. Again, he was repelled by my touch, and I gave up trying to help him that way. He still appeared unstable, but he stopped moving at least. He actually did it.
The hell?
The hell? I didn't even have to say anything there. I shouldn't have. He clutched at his temples, his fingers grazing over the odd shards in the place of his ears. He wobbled as he tried to stand, and I impatiently rushed to his side. Stop it. You obviously can't move in your condition, so you might as well sit down and clear your head. What is going on? Who are you, and what are you doing here? He looked at me as if he was registering me for the first time since asking who I was. Everything about him scared, overwhelmed, and he simply gritted his teeth in frustration. I decided to find another angle to help him open up. I did not consider myself intimidating, but it was possible he had no desire to answer anything. Are you hungry? I softened my voice and returned to my spot by the fire. I grabbed the clothes and genuinely offered him genuinely offered him the ray bread and cheese. He only arched an eyebrow in disgust. What is that? That? It's food. You chew it? I ripped off a piece of the dark bread and demonstrated, humming delightfully to show that it was edible. He scoffed and averted his eyes.
I don't care.
I don't want it. It looks revolting. Sorry, my peasant food does not please my lord's taste. Ugh, his attitude was rubbing off on me. Calm down. If anything, he's hiding that he's scared. He did just wake up in a foreign place. Are you nobility? He fell silent, and only the occasional crackle of the fire and the hooting of owls interrupted the stillness. I leaned back and ruminated. I'm guessing that's what it is. Never heard that used. Over my meal. Carefully to leave some food untouched in case he changed his mind. Ah, there was an apple tart too. I'll save it for later. I wrapped up the cloth, only vaguely aware that the stranger was examining my every movement. It nettled me silently, but I didn't comment. I did not want to do anything that would raise his guard even more. It was now dark, and I occasionally fed the fire, getting the feeling I was going to spend the night here. After what seemed like an eternity, he finally spoke up. Uh, who are you again? Aurora Lee. I'm from the town of Barry. And you? Kier. He reluctantly uttered the name, gazing into the fire. He seemed much calmer now. And how did you get here? His lip curled, smirking knowledgeably. You probably wouldn't believe it if I told you. You have unusual eyes and strange fashion accessories over your ears. I think I can find your story credible. He flexed his hand, scantinizing his fingers. I'm guessing that's what that. I didn't come here willingly. Out of all the places. Out of all the places, I don't see why he decided to drop me in the decided to drop me in this low-born, simplistic. Kier. He glanced at me as I offered that. As. He glanced at me as if offended that I had addressed him directly. So, where are you from? I'm not particularly tied to any region. If it's not obvious already, I'm not one of you. I'm one of the dragons, an earth dragon. He stated it full of pride, with no ounce of humility. Dubiously, I inspected him from head to toe, taking note of the stone-like juts from ears, for ears, and his remarkable eyes. He bulked up my. I can't speak. I don't know why I can't speak, but he bulked under my stare, but quickly regained his dignity. So why would an earth dragon be here? It's not because I wanted to. He blurted it out angrily, then touched his unique ears for comfort. I sighed, then tilted my head as I absorbed his explanation. Alright, I'll admit, I'm not exactly accepting this as feasible, but I'm not dismissing it either. You can't transform back? If I could, do you think I would remain in this pathetic body so weak? I instinctively patted my sword hilt to counter that remark, but stopped when I saw his attempt to stand again.
Whoa.
It was like watching a toddler take his or her first steps. But instead of coaxing, I was fervently discouraging his efforts. We're already established that you're unfamiliar with your form. Besides, it's too dark to walk around aimlessly. I'll find a walking stick for you, and we can return to Barry, if you'd like. It feel wrong if I abandoned you in this state.
I don't need your help.
Are you saying I can't handle myself? I'm pointing it out. Realizing we were both escalating our voices, I look away in a huff, not wanting to have an encounter turn sour so rapidly. An altar. I need to find an altar. You heavenkind worship us, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the dragonkind were here first, so it's only natural we pay our respects. I admitted I thought dragons were more divine and irreproachable. Kier was definitely giving me a different impression. I barely knew anything about the dragonkind, though they focused on their own affairs. You will take me there. It was a plain statement, not a suggestion, nor a plea. Why an altar? There are all heavenkind made. How would it help you? He paired my question ecstatically. It doesn't matter. Do you know where one is?
Yeah.
There's one not far from here. There's a cave that leads to it. Good. We should go there. This instant. He abstain. He abstinently tried to stand up again, but I lunged forward and firmly sat him back down. He glared at me in disbelief, but my will was as stubborn as his. Morning, we'll do this in the morning, get some sleep, and I'll find an ideal walking stick. I don't think you'll master bibli bib bipdolum sim. Oh, I don't know, without some assistance, especially not in a day. And it'll be difficult if I have to physically support you the whole way there. So just take it easy tonight. I'll even keep watch while you sleep. He fell silent and gave me a reluctant nod, closing his eyes wearily. I sighed gratefully, feeling moderately triumphant over that battle of pigheadedness. While Kier grumbled, I leaned over and pulled a small blanket out of my bag. The temperature was still pleasant, even at night, but I could it could cool rapidly, especially since it was the end of the summer. After items on returning some items to my bag, I reshaped it so it was a passable pillow again and offered it to Kier, who seemed puzzled by its purpose. Believe me, you'll need something comfortable, or you'll have trouble sleeping. Worse, you'll wake up with a sore back, and getting to the altar will be even more troublesome. You already slept on it once. I think you can figure out how to support your head with it again. I laughed sheepishly at my own stab at lighting the mood, but I could tell it wasn't working for Kier. Disgruntled, he laid down on his side and experimented with a few positions before resting his head in satisfaction. At first, he refused to use the blanket, but as the temperature dropped, he discreetly pulled it toward him, and when he thought I wouldn't notice. Probably to hide his expression, he rolled over so his back was to me and the fire. I had the feeling that initial shock took a lot out of him, and I admittedly hadn't helped when he ruffled my feathers more than once. Now that he slept, any irration I still felt dispersed along with the summer heat. I would need to be mentally and physically prepared for tomorrow. Stay cool, collected, and autumn. I poked the fire and stayed on my watch until exhaustion boggled me into resting my eyes for just a few minutes. Hey. Oh, please. I've had less sleep than you, and I'm already yawn. And I'm already energized and ready to go. Pouting, I poked Kier some more with the walking stick I had fashioned for him. It wasn't easy finding a sturdy stick in a birch forest, but I had located a long one that would suffice. I had spent the morning carving off any bark, and even indented the top to make it easy to grip. Now, it was my dragon prod. Up, Eris-scaled dragon. Sacred dragon.
Whoa.
Cut that out. Kier hesitantly shot up, throwing off the blanket in a feeble attempt to hide the fact he used it. I decided to counter his usual scowl with the perkiest, most cheerful grin I could muster.
Sorry about that.
Good morning. My greeting was genuine. For some reason, it satisfied me to know that my high spirits I irked him. I could use my sunny disposition to my advantage. It'd be better than snapping at him at any rate. Stop poking me with that.
You're welcome.
It's your walking stick. Here, you're welcome. I turned it sideways and offered it to him. He warily gazed at it as if I was presenting a cobra instead, but cheerfully grasped it. Cautiously, he pressed the stick against the ground. As he stood up, I remained close. At least he toppled over like yesterday. His fingers drummed against the carved handle, and he looked at me quizzically. You spent time on this?
Right.
Well, I wanted to finish it off with a pretty flowering river, but I had the feeling you wouldn't like it. Grumbling, Kier took a step forward, kneeling on the stick before hesitantly taking another. With each step, he regained some confidence, and soon he was walking in a straight line. I'll bet with an uneven gait. He could not exactly break into a run or even a brisk stride, but it was a huge improvement for last night. From last night, I established we could reach the cave leading to the altar by mid-afternoon. I quickly packed and followed him, since I had the feeling the only thing on his mind was the altar. It's this way. I pointed toward the gentle incline, and Kier narrowed his eyes resentfully. Going down here would probably be difficult for him. As we headed toward the destination, I kept my distance at first, but I gradually drew toward Kier, one hand extended in case of a stumble. Kier bulked and increased the distance between us, determined to progress on his own. However, his pace was excruciatingly slow, and he was unwilling to start any small talk. As the slope steepened, his footing became more unsteady, and I worriedly grabbed his arm for support.
Whoa.
What? He twirled around in surprise, and I actually did end up bracing him. Once he was stable again, I sighed. Look, I know you don't like me touching you, but if your priority is to get to the altar as soon as possible, I think you can swallow your dignity and accept my help. Besides, no one else is around to see you stumbling.
I don't need any help.
You've done enough. I don't need any help from you. He shifted his weight and used the stick to ward me away. I frowned disapprovingly. Hey, if you try to hit me with that thing, I'll confiscate it. Even I wouldn't do something like that. Gritting his teeth, he leaned heavily against one of the birch trees. When I get back, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Who? My master. His curt answer stalled the rush of the question piling up in my head. It would be poor of me to interrogate him when he was still obviously overwhelmed by the situation. Right now, the goal was more important.
Right.
Then let's get you to the cave. You believe me? Everything I told you? Maybe you're just as very convincing actor, but I think even an actor would drop this charade after a while. Just as I about to reach for him again, a low grumble pierced the forest. Glanced at Kier in amusement, bafflement. He averted his eyes, but I could tell he was embarrassed. You know, if you're hungry,
Shut up.
I'm not. I think you'll be able to walk faster if you have something to eat. What do dragons eat, anyways?
Annoying.
Meddling heaven kind. I roll my eyes. Well, you have a heaven kind stomach now, and I doubt I'll agree with a diet like that. But it does make sense that you wouldn't want to try the bread or cheese. I doubt dragons thresh ray, or run dairy farms. It was then that I remembered apple tart. Even if Kier found the pastry part disabled, the fruit would probably be familiar to him. I urged him to sit down. When he refused, I simply made myself comfortable on the ground first. Here, this is the closest thing I have to something found in the nature. I could forge. I could forge, but that would take even longer. What is that? It's a pastry. My dad owns a bakery. You probably wouldn't understand that. It's basically a treat with apple filling, and I think some apricot jam. Thankfully, my dad prepared showing off the natural ingredients. As a result, the top of the tart had slices of appetizing fruit covered with a luscious yellow glaze. Well, guys, I'm gonna leave it off right there with Kier eating the apple tart thing. I didn't actually expect it to look like that, but I don't know. Thank you guys for watching this episode. It's really awesome. I'm gonna make this a series. It's gonna be awesome and stuff. As I said, Pixelmon's gonna be the main series, and it always is gonna be the main series. So, if you guys want to see that, hop over there, check out the Pixelmon series. But right now, this is another side series I'm doing, and it's something I wanted to do. But yeah, my recordings, I'll most likely only be doing recordings at night like this, or during the weekends. So if you guys want to see anything, it's probably gonna be real late or on the weekends. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.